Well, it has been the goal of the Romanian authorities to find reasons to throw Andrew Tate in jail and to throw away the key. The Romanian police have now expanded their investigation into the former kickboxing champion Andrew Tate, seizing a fleet of luxury vehicles from his Bucharest compound. They did this over the weekend, and they raided 7 more of his properties. How Andrew Tate made his money is a key part of the investigation. Now, to some extent, he's discussed how he's made money, and it's not so much of a secret. We do know that he was doing webcam business. And in setting it up, he basically approached women, young, beautiful women from different parts of Europe, and he would invite them over to where he was situated in Romania to participate in this webcam. As to whether or not he was transparent and fair in his dealings with those women is really what is the subject of these investigations. Some women are claiming they could have been forced or they could have been manipulated. There is this thing they're saying that the lover boy technique, which is supposedly one of the things that sex traffickers do, which is to make the target fall in love so that you can manipulate them.
Give them a promise of a long-lasting relationship like marriage.
Yes. Now, I can't think of a more infantilizing thing than to allege that a woman can be made to do anything just on the promise of love or marriage. And if so, should you still not be responsible for that? Like, if a woman came to me and said, "Oh, James, if you love me, you'll rob a bank with me. And if you don't rob the bank with me, then you're a horrible person and you'll make me very sad." Now, if I were caught by the police engaging in that illegal act, let's say robbing a bank, and I were to say, well, I was manipulated into doing it because she used the lover girl technique. She told me that if I didn't participate, she would hate me.
That wouldn't hold so much water. That's why the police is trying to, find more. Because according to the investigation and a few things the police is saying is that the girls would be, they would be gotten through the lover boy technique, but then when they would get to Romania, they would be forced to act to be in those adult chat rooms. So what are the adult chat rooms like? Are you forced to talk to men in an adult manner without your consent?
Basically, it's kind of like it resembles what is called OnlyFans, which is a similar thing. OnlyFans, though, is more of a subscription service. And then based on, I think, various payment tiers, you are granted greater access and or maybe more amenities, more like services, which may include direct conversation, a chance to chat with someone via text or via video. And so these chat rooms, these webcams, this thing that was going on with Andrew Tate and these girls is that essentially, he set up a system in which men could pay money to interact with these girls. And of course, it would be the job of these girls to first of all, there would be, I think, a payment in exchange for access to the girls via webcam. And then there were instances where the girls would ask for money to perform certain services, like maybe like touching herself and doing other sexual things behind the camera for the benefit of the person watching.
So now I found it. So the allegation is that these girls were forced or manipulated into working for Andrew Tate as models in adult entertainment chat rooms.
Now, here's the thing. And I think you have to be careful with the word manipulate. And it's something that Sarah likes throwing around a lot. And I think you have mentioned it too. Back when we were discussing the difference between dating an older woman and a younger woman, and all of you guys would just keep saying, "Oh, you just want a woman you can manipulate." And in my head, the whole time I'm thinking, so what you're telling me is that a woman who's 25 doesn't have the mental capacity to think for herself and make her own judgments because she can only do as I ask her to do if she's manipulated into doing it. And in so doing, you're stripping them.
But you know which codes to play with. You know which codes to pull.
My point is, just a minute. I feel like it's, again, I like to say it's infantilization. Like if you're telling me that a 25-year-old woman, if she makes a decision and your conclusion is that she had to have made it only after being manipulated, shall we say the same about her voting decisions? in her professional decisions. Like, I feel like you end up running the risk of making it so that we should never take women under a certain age seriously because they are so prone to manipulation, as you allege.
But you see, in the sense of human trafficking and even rape allegations, because there are rape allegations when it comes to Andrew Tate. But let's talk about the human trafficking. You get someone from one country to another with God knows whichever promise you've given them. And then they come to this country and you tell them for you to be able to go home or for you to achieve ABCD, this is what you're supposed to do for me. That is manipulation. It doesn't matter whether they are 15 or 25 because you have the upper hand. You've had stories of women whose travel documents have been taken away.
That's a different thing.
I don't know if this happened.
That's a different thing. So if, for example, he compelled them to come to the country where he was, let's say Romania. And then when they get there, he says, hey, I want you to work for me in this capacity to make money. Unless he, again, as you mentioned, let's say he removed their passports, physically confined them. Beyond, if not that, I can't think of any other circumstance in which that would qualify as manipulation.
I get you, and you're right. And that's why there is an investigation. And of course, you're not alone. Most of his fans, some of them are waiting for the allegations to be proved as untrue. And others are saying they will change their position in case there is proof. So we wait. But then there is a development, and I know you'd love this one. The police says they have, Romanian authorities say they have 6 witnesses, but then 2 ladies last week came out and said we were never forced to do anything. Actually, Andrew and his brother Tristan are just friends. So I don't know whether the plot is going to thicken or it is going to be way smaller.
Well, you better hope that these allegations are serious, because if they are not, and if they're proven to be unsubstantiated, then it's going to deal a huge blow to the fight against sex trafficking, because you have inflated an incident, an event that was not that, into something that was, so that the next time you hear of something similar, people will be quick to dismiss it. They'll be like, oh, it's just another one of those allegations.
So do you really believe that Andrew Tate is innocent?
I do. I think if he's guilty of anything, in my opinion, it'll probably be on financial matters. In terms of what I mean is sort of just handling his accounts, because, as a business owner, I know that it's one of the sticky things, like
not paying taxes
and not being transparent, not filing returns. Like these things are very serious in many countries, including this one, and of course Romania. And given the kinds of business he was doing, I understand he was mostly getting his payments in Bitcoin, so as to not be easily, the money to be traceable. I'm meant to understand that he runs a few casinos, which just opens the door to allegations
fraud and money laundering. Yes. So
I have a feeling it's very careless. It's very possible to be careless in those matters, careless enough that they can easily pick out areas where you may have violated the law or some financial code. I think they can pin him on that, but on the rape and sex trafficking stuff, not so easily, and probably not. He'll probably walk when it comes to that. Now, what I don't understand is why they would seize his properties.
Not because there is like we said in the beginning, how he got the money, how he got rich.
Yeah, but when wouldn't that be after a conviction? Because as far as we know, they've not even been read their charges.
No, so the property has been attached partly because in the event that he loses the case against the women who claim that they were trafficked, that they were forced and raped and stuff like that, and in the event that they claim, in the event that they win and they need to be compensated, then it is that property that is going to be probably auctioned and then get compensated.
I feel like that is a presumption of guilt.
It is a presumption of guilt. I see it.
But we don't know. It seems very unfair.
It seems very unfair, but nothing has been sold yet. But yeah, I hear you when you say presumption of guilt, because as in, why are you attaching the property if the case has not even seen its day in court? Because he was just last week trying to get bail.
Right. So for example, if the IGG were to accuse a public servant of corruption, if the accusation is made, shouldn't the person first be presented in the court and then proven to be guilty? Then you go after his assets, or upon the allegation alone, you go and seize his houses and cars?
I don't think they are only doing it upon the allegation, because as investigations are, continuing, because there is a fraud case here. The first case is the sex trafficking, but there is a money laundering case here. And when they're doing that, they can freeze your assets until when they deem you innocent. And then your stuff can come back to
freezing
you.
of accounts, I can understand. But then they're not taking possession of your money.
These are luxury cars. There is a lot of money seated in these cars. They are not your... what's that car that Shakira talked about in her new song?
I don't remember.
Twingo. Is it... Did she call? Yes, a Twingo. These are not Twingos. These are luxury cars. I saw BMWs. There were many. So there is a lot of money seated in these cars.
Okay. But wow, this case, it's so... Because to a lot of people, and to me inclusive, it looks like they're on a fishing expedition. Like they don't really have the... Because they've been investigating these guys since April. Do you remember when they were first arrested in April? Or they were not arrested, they were taken.
Yes, but you see
April. And they've been investigating them since... Are you telling me 9 months later you still haven't been able to build a case?
Investigations can take years. Let's come back to Uganda here. Government is still investigating the case of Sewanyana and Segirinya. They've
if an
been
investigation
in the
takes this long, it means they're not serious.
But you've
about
not heard of cases where investigations take like 5 years and the person loses the case and they're sent to the coolers maybe for the rest of their lives. Do you think the R. Kelly investigation took just a few months?
The only reason I think it took longer was, again, for many, many years, there was in R. Kelly's case, there was not much of a desire to pursue it. And in fact, didn't they have to do a lot of lobbying and canvassing? And it took years of complaining
and probably
for the authorities to take action, because this guy, listen, he married Aaliyah in the 90s. This was common knowledge to everyone. There was documentary evidence that he had wedded this child.
But they did not only get him on that one. They got him on others, all the
So why didn't they get him on that one first?
I think in such cases, you need to build an airtight case. And that takes time. And this may take time. And probably the reason why you feel like this is a fishing expedition is because not so much information has been given. So it creates the illusion of probably they don't have anything. So maybe what we have to do is wait and see how this goes.
All right, let's do that. Free Top G!
Keep him.
Well, keep listening to the Fatboy Show at RX Radio.